What we doing out here, y'all? What we doing out here? So I originally had that question pop in my mind, more so as a joke. The what we doing out here? I've been playing around with this thought of like, yo, do I make that as a segment of a podcast? Do I, do something different with that? Talk about like, yo, here's the outlandish things I've seen on social media, and ask the question, what we doing out here? As is like, yo, what we doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, let's talk about this. However, the question has now transitioned to the terrorist attack that has been demonstrated on the Asian American community. Just recently, within days of this recording, a white terrorist has shot up Asian spas in Atlanta. And folks have died because of it. Asian women have died because of it. Community is torn. Community is hurt, and it's devastating. It's a trauma. It's hard. It's hard, and it's hard to watch this and see this. It's even harder to witness the response from people of color and non-people of color regarding this. Even those in power. Like your boy having a bad day. Like, come on, man. When I have a bad day, I don't shoot up people. What? Go work out. Do some push-ups. Read a book. Walk. Work out. I don't know. Do something else. But that is not a justification for the fact that somebody felt compelled. This man, who is white, who is a man, felt compelled to step into this space and shoot people because of whatever motive he had. Whether it was he had a sexual addiction that he was like, I need to eradicate this, or he had a hate for folks of Asian descent. It don't matter. You took a life. Took 8 of them. We can't be okay with that. And the fact that there's an intersection of many identities of these folks who lost their lives, who were murdered because of this person, is hard to dissect out the racial component, the gender component, and how that is fuel for this hate crime. And so what we doing out here? What are we doing out here? So I say that because there is an aspect of we're continuing to, let me backtrack. At this recording, we are 1 year, around 1 year, or a little over 1 year of being in this lockdown. And in this time, we've experienced a tremendous amount of stuff. It's hard. We're still processing it, and we'll probably process this for the rest of our lives. And our kids, there's going to be studies created about this pandemic that we've experienced. It's going to go down in the record books. And when I was going to ask the question, what we doing out here, was essentially just a call to action of, hey, in this pandemic time, what have you done in this space to better yourself to move on once we open up? Some places open up, but we're slowly opening up. So what are we doing out here to, increase the safety? What have you learned? How do we change things? And then I had the thought of using the question as a joke, right? Like, because there's been some outlandish stuff happening online that I'm like, yo, like, are we really doing this? Like, what are we doing? But now, because of the transition of this racial incident that's caused us a hate crime, I'm like, yo, I'm serious. Like, what are we doing? And it's funny because you say the same phrase 3 different times, and you get 3 different types of feelings and results. And I'm like deep in this, like, we got to do something different. And it all could conflate together, but we got to do something different in how we are approaching one another, approaching those who are different than us, approaching those who are feeling pain and trauma historically and today, not dismissing what they're experiencing, not acting like it's nothing, not that they have no value or what they're experiencing has no value, but we got to be able to stand with these individuals who are experiencing, who are oppressed, who are experiencing trauma. And then we also got to figure out, who are these people talking to those perpetuating these oppressive acts? Who talked to Homeboy? Who was in Homeboy's corner in this community? Who was he listening to that made him feel compelled to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and hurt and harm these people. These particular people. Because it makes me think like, sure, there's folks out there who be like, yo, if I was having a bad day, I wouldn't be doing all these things. But somebody's having a bad day, and that might be on somebody's mind is saying, yo, on my bad day, I'm going to do this harmful action. Who's talking to that person? Who's engaging with them? Who is actually truly building a relationship with them and say, yo, that ain't the way. That's not how we should be thinking about folks. That's not how we should be taking action about these people or thing or whatever. You need to do some self-work to eradicate, to work through these issues in a healthier format and not resort to violence. Violence to these particular folks, to this community, to this marginalized space. I think about that because, like, that's our responsibility. And folks be like, yo, that's not my problem. Like, homeboy got problems, or that neighbor got problems, that neighbor got problems. But no, that's your neighbor. That's somebody that's connected to you, whether you like it or not. You have a closer relationship to them than I might have, right? We got to leverage our relationships to change the culture, change the environment. If we are looking to be the people who are creating spaces for everybody to belong and thrive, we have a role to play in that. Uncomfortable conversations need to happen. Accountability needs to happen. A new way of life needs to happen. What are we doing out here? I'm tired of the Rolodex of marginalized identities who are constantly in a traumatic event. And it might be because of the specificity of COVID. We're all at home. We're looking at our phones. More trauma's coming out. That could be true. But in the history of America, if you pick a oppressive group, a marginalized group, they've experienced oppression. And yeah, every couple months, it seems like lately some group is experiencing oppression again. And we got to reopen those wounds, relive that trauma, connect the dots again to show what's happened in this decade, and this last 6 months to yesterday ties to what happened just now. And then there's still people who deny that, be like, yo, that ain't connected. Homeboy just had a bad day. And that's not the case at all. So I'm rambling at the moment, but I guess where I want to get at is, one, my heart goes out to the Asian American community, and specifically the family members who lost their loved ones on that day. The second thing I want to get at is we need to be able to recognize the intersections and the connectedness of these acts that are happening towards marginalized communities, and not see it as single events, but showcase that there's a greater system at play that is causing folks to feel emboldened to take action. Whether it's the rhetoric that's being used by former presidents, it is the policies and actions that's being displayed to create this exclusion for identities. It is the way that we think and connect and engage, or the lack of engagement that we have with people who look different than us. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. And we need to understand how it all connects and ties to these traumatic events so we can stop having these traumatic events. And then the last thing is our role and responsibility towards talking to people, to building relationships, to connecting with those individuals who might be on the edge of doing some crazy, outlandish, hateful act. And us standing in the gap and being in the way to say, that ain't the way. Let's talk about something different. Let's work to change, to do something different. Because it is on us to work to do that. And some of us have better relationships with other people than do that. But it is on us to do that. I don't know. What are we doing out here? Like, what are you going to do out here? What are you going to do while you're out here? How will this change? Does this change for you? I hope it does. Otherwise, in the next couple of months, a new incident will occur and it will impact another marginalized identity group. We'll be right back here again asking each other the same questions and doing the same type of actions that feel like that we've been going through over and over again. I don't know. Let's do something different. If you're down to do something different, let's talk about it. What does that look like for you? If you have a platform that you can utilize to showcase and to share, to build awareness, to creating conversation, let's do that. Talk to your people, talk to your community, talk to your family. Talk about these incidents that have occurred lately and ask them the question, what are you going to do differently? What are you doing out here? What are we doing? Because folks are truly needing people to stand in the gap and advocate for change. People need this. We need this. We need to practice our empathy. We need to put our actions in work that align with the values and showcase that people have value on this earth. So, my heart goes out to the Asian American community. We see you. We love you. We understand the plight. And even if we don't fully understand, we know we want to stand with you to bring comfort, to bring peace, and find ways to get peace in the way that you would want to see it done. So, there it is. There's no way to end this positive. There's no way to end this well. But I'm just going to end it and hope that you let me know what you're doing differently. How you're going to change. What is this trigger within you? So that way you can take action. Get at me, Ray Devante. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Share this with a friend. Have a conversation. More importantly, have a conversation with a friend. That's going to continue to bring better change and greater change in our communities where we all have identities that belong and thrive. All right. Continue to share the story with others. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.